Welcome to the Net Wealth Nest podcast, the show that helps everyday people build real financial stability, starting from wherever you are. Whether you're working your way out of debt or just starting to save, we're here to help you grow your net wealth to your first big wealth milestone. Each episode, we break down the mindset shifts, practical tools, and real-life actions that can transform your financial future. Thanks for tuning in. Now let's get to work building your net wealth nest. Welcome to the Net Wealth Nest podcast. I am your host, Jim LaBeouf. Thanks for joining us for another episode as we help you build financial stability and grow your net wealth. Ever wonder why your paycheck seems to disappear just days after it hits your account? It's not always overspending. Sometimes it's about when and how you're paying your bills and how to execute that. A great example is many people get paid on Friday, and then by Monday morning, half their paycheck is gone, leaving stress until that next payday. We're going to talk today about how to look at those paycheck to paycheck differences, how to view your bills, and how to make sure that you are not getting caught in a cycle where you feel like your paycheck is gone moments after it hits your account. So let's start off with why timing matters. So bills don't always line up neatly with your paycheck dates, especially if you get paid biweekly. But even if you get paid monthly or you get paid on the first, not every bill is due on the same day for all of your bills. So think about it like common bills that are due on the first are going to be things like your mortgage or your rent. But other things when we talk about utilities, when we talk about your internet bill, insurance bills, any of those things that come up, they're not going to all fit nicely on the first of the month or the last day of the month. They're going to be sprinkled in between. And some of that depends on what that company is doing when they are executing their billing period. But also some of it depends on when you started that. Think of like your cell phone bill. When you started your service with that, it started billing that. So if you started on the 11th of a month, guess what? On the 11th of every month, it's going to hit. And that doesn't always, again, line up with your paycheck. Whether you get paid monthly or especially if you get paid bi-weekly, that's going to shift where that money and cash flow is coming in and coming out. That can create cash flow gaps, even if your income technically covers all your expenses. And so most people struggle with trying to figure out the best way or a consistent way to pay their bills. So some common pitfalls that happen in these types of situations is some people will pay all their big bills or the majority of their bills at the beginning of the month when maybe their pay is spread out over the course of the month, and they end up either overdrafting or even running out of money where they can't afford the basic things like gas and groceries until their next pay period. And that can put somebody in a bad situation or a situation where you start using credit cards to just get to the next pay period. Some people will rely on auto pay without checking their balances and understanding how it's broken out across when they're receiving their paychecks. I've seen this lead to individuals that have a bunch of overdraft fees because they're not balancing out when they're paying, even by auto paying it, when they're paying their bills compared to when their income is coming in. Many people forget about irregular expenses. So things like car insurance is a great one, or a lot of subscriptions are like this, where you'll pay for 6 months or a year's worth of X service, and then every year it renews. And you just forget about it, especially with smartphones nowadays. It's really easy where it automatically renews under your Google Play or your Apple account, and it's charged immediately to your account. Just like the monthly charges that people forget about, it's even easier to forget about a charge that only happens twice a year or every year. And then the last thing that's a common pitfall is just when the paycheck hits is, I've got money, I can spend it now, and not accounting for and doing your bills first, and then making sure that you're not overspending that where your bills aren't going to come out or you're not going to be able to cover your bills until the next pay period. So strategically, what you should do is map out and try to balance your bills over the course of the month, especially if you're getting paid biweekly, which is really, really common because, again, that date will fluctuate and change month to month on when those paychecks are coming in. And so trying to split up larger bills, maybe you have your rent or your mortgage due on the first, which is common, and then you have a car payment that's several $100s. If you can set up where your mortgage and rent are getting paid on the first, great. But is there a capability to move your car payment towards the end of the month or middle of the month so that when you get that second paycheck, you're not trying to pay all those big bills at one time? Are you automating savings? So if you're going to save $100 a month, sometimes I see people where they'll take that out on the first check of each month versus maybe it's worth splitting it up where every paycheck you're going to take $50 out. Again, leaving you some extra cushion between those paychecks so that you're not running out of that cash to do just the basic necessities of life. And again, we talk a lot about like things like groceries and those needs that come up day to day. What I've seen be really successful is breaking out your bills and when they're due. So what I've done in the past to help me with this is I've taken like a calendar and I've literally mapped out on the calendar when every payment is due through the course of the month. And then I look at like when I typically get paid. And so if I get paid biweekly, while it's not perfect, I'm not always getting paid on the first of the month or the fourth of the month. Sometimes it's the 6th or the 7th. I'm looking at, okay, like where does that check land and what grouping of bills can I have on kind of the first half of the month? And then what grouping of bills can I have in the second half of the month? And I try to map those out. Some places, depending on who you're owing and what you're paying, like what expenses you have, some places will allow you to adjust where you want that bill to be due. Not always, like typically your mortgage and all that is not movable, but other bills, sometimes like your cell phone bill, sometimes like your credit card bills, you can adjust or get that adjusted so that it is made at a certain time of the month, and that will help you spread those out. But really, once you map those out and by week, you can kind of add them up and be like, okay, these 2 weeks when I get paid, I have X amount of bills, so I need to pay all these. And these other bills kind of fall in the back half of the month. So I'm going to make sure with my second check that comes through, I'm going to pay these bills. And that way you don't feel that pressure where you're trying to pay all your bills maybe at the front of the month and you're running out of money, or even worse, putting money on credit cards just to manage to get yourself to the next paycheck. Other practical tools and tips that you can use. So using bank alerts, almost all banks will have the capability where you can go online, you can alert as payments come out, or you can even say, once my cash reaches X amount, I need you to alert me that it's below, let's just say $300. Maybe you want a $300 cushion in your checking account. So you can say, anytime my balance dips below $300, I want you to send me a text alert letting me know that. Anytime I get a bill taken out, I want you to send me a text alert. And again, part of the alerts is not necessarily to change what you're doing, because maybe what you're doing is the right approach, but it is keeping you aware of what is happening. So you're not like getting through half a month and being like, oh, I'm pretty sure I have my auto draft set up for these 2 credit cards. Let me go and make sure you're getting that hit every single time. So, yep, my credit card was drafted out today. Here's the payment. We're good to go. I'm moving forward to the next thing. The other thing you can do, kind of like your emergency savings account, and once you have that built up, is building up a little bit of a buffer in your actual checking account or where all your expenses are coming out of. And so what some people try to do, they try to build up one paycheck's worth of a buffer in there. So let's say you get paid every 2 weeks. You get a $1,500 check. They're looking at trying to build up, again, I would recommend this after you build your emergency savings. But once you do that, like, can you build up a little bit of runway or space in your checking account where even if you kind of like underestimate or overestimate what bills are coming out that given week or that given pay period, you've got enough to cover yourself for a little bit longer just in case. Now, the key is, when you have that money in there, is how do you make that your new zero balance, right? So let's just say it's $1,500 and you do your emergency fund and now you're building that $1,500 one paycheck cushion. How do you make sure that that is your new zero? Meaning you don't dip under $1,500 unless you accidentally make a mistake. You're not saying, oh, I've got $1,500. I can go out to eat this week, or I can go do this, or I can, spend that. It's not a big deal. I've got this cushion in there. That cushion is basically for mistakes. If you make a mistake, you don't get an overdraft fee. You don't get any of those things. So really what we're talking about here today, and kind of to recap and put a bow on all of this, is running out of money isn't always about what you're spending. It can be sometimes when you are spending it. And so my challenge to you is, if you're feeling like all of a sudden you have these really weird ups and downs, and some weeks you're feel flushed with cash because you didn't have a lot of bills, and some weeks you feel like you can't even scrape by and you're charging things like groceries and those types of things that are technically built in your budget and you can't figure out why, map out your bills. figure out why that is happening and look at it if you can smooth it out. Can you move bills around? Can you call the credit card company and be like, hey, it's due on the 8th. Can I have it moved to the 20th? That will help me pay it better on time. Those types of things, see if you can move them around so that you smooth that out. You're able to have the appropriate cash flow and pay your bills on time and not stretch yourself so thin that you're having to put your basics on credit cards or that you're getting overdraft fees. Thanks for joining today. Appreciate it. If this was helpful, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on your podcast player of choice, leave us reviews, leave us comments. We use the comments to help build future content to bring to you. So we just appreciate you joining us today. And again, share this with others if this was helpful to you. Our goal is really to just help you build financial stability and long-term build your net wealth. My name is Jim. Have a great day. Net Wealth Nest LLC and Podcast is an educational platform committed to providing resources and information to empower individuals on their financial journey. Please note, we do not provide financial, tax, or investment advice. All financial decisions should be made in consultation with a qualified professional who understands your unique circumstances. Seeking personalized advice is a smart and necessary step before making any major financial commitments. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you found value in this episode, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Net Wealth Nest, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. We read every comment, and they help us improve and guide what topics we dive into next. And hey, if something you heard today resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, a family member, a coworker, your barber, your barista, even a stranger in line. You never know who might need this message. Remember, building net wealth is a journey, but you don't have to do it alone. Stick with us, and together, let's grow your net wealth nest.